Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 49. Today we are jumping into our second gauntlet of the 3.6 patch. And so I do apologize before we jump in. I really like getting the gameplay videos out before we jump into the gauntlets and make those videos. But with there only being like 3 days of the new patch and there only being 2 days that you're able to play Gauntlet, I'm just not able to get that ordering out there. And so we'll try with that up here in the upcoming days. I will be making gameplay guides for these videos, and so you can circle around and watch them however you prefer. But with this list, or this lineup, I should say, the idea with what we're bringing here is that just everything gets murdered by Ezreal Caitlyn, and that's going to be our preferred ban. Everything here is also pretty bad against Pantheon. But that would be our next preferred ban. But as the meta has kind of shaped up and shaken out, we're not seeing too much Pantheon these days. It's only like 1% of the meta or something, and so I don't feel like we have to worry about it as frequently. Ezreal Caitlyn is the big one that shows up quite a bit. And I'm more than happy to just come in and ban that one out. And so it is kind of a nightmare scenario if we do run into those two together. But as long as we can slide past that, we should be able to manage the rest of our matchups pretty decently. And so the ones we're bringing, we've got Viego Nasus here. This is the same one that we played in the previous video. I'm a big fan of this deck. It's been a pretty good ladder climber for me, and I feel like this is a pretty good bread and butter deck to just be bringing out. It doesn't really get murdered by too much, and it doesn't really have a ton of good matchups. It's very Jundy in terms of magic, as to where a lot of the matchups feel good, but we're not getting any of those like 70-30 matchups. But nothing is completely terrible against this. Outside of like those Ezreal Caitlyn style decks. And so this is the same one. Again, we'll be bringing it. Galio Udyr might be a new one for you. In terms of Udyr, without diving too deeply into this deck, we mentioned in our previous Udyr video, the big thing that I look towards him and what you need for him to be successful is making use of multiple versions of the stances. And so it's very common to have him just be like an overwhelm engine, which is fine, but you need to be able to get a little bit more value than just the overwhelms. And so, it is great to slam an overwhelm onto Galio, but the other thing this deck can do is take really good advantage of the +0/+2 with the regenerate. The Petricite Hound and the Petricite Broadwing work with that fantastically, and so it's great having this additional option that we can slap out there with the stances. The other thing is I don't like the Allseer, whatever that unit is that makes the stances cost 0. I think that's a bait and just not very good. And so in place of the Allseer, we have just various strikes, right? We have single combats and concerted strikes we can use with Udyr, along with the ultra important in these formats, Golden Aegis. And so this is what we're running with the Galio Udyr. And then the last one wouldn't be a week with Bust without some scouts, and we're bringing this one in with the funsies. And so I've kind of struggled to find a good list for scouts this season. I'm looking to still play the Stony Suppressors. There's enough spell-based decks running around to make it good. It's not nearly as good as in the previous patch, to where there were just tons of Riven and tons of Victor and tons of Aphelios running around. But I think it still has a place in this format. But the big problem we've been running into is just like a bunch of go tall decks, and this has always struggled against the likes of Pantheon. With these Udyr decks running around, Misfortune, Quinn, and the Scouts really struggle against that. And so I've been looking to do more of the kind of go wide strategy with all of the additional stats. And so it sounds like a little odd in those terms when we say, hey, Bust, I want to go wide. Why did you take out Marai Warden and take out the Bilgewater Scout unit? Well, that's just to hopefully build up these draws with the Vanguard Bannerman. And so as we potentially just don't trade in the early game, I really like being able to slam a bunch of stats on our entire board. Now that we have the Bannerman and we have the Garen to do the same thing, I feel like just getting the big stats on more units is a little bit more important than that extra punch that you get from the width, the quick width, if you will. And so that's it. That's our lineup. That's what we're bringing this week. I already looked through all of our cards to see if we needed to pay the pay-to-win price anywhere, and we're good. I think there's just a couple of epics, and then the likes of Galio and Udyr still remaining to turn premium, and so I feel like it's been paid. The things are good. Let's get ourselves here into battle. See if our first opponent just immediately concedes like they did in the last one. I was getting a little chatty, and I guess he didn't want to put up with the wait. But all right, this is one of the lineups I've actually been kind of interested in, with the Aurelian Soul ramp, the Trundlemere ramp, and then the Malphite Talia. And so this is a place where Scouts is going to be pretty decent. I would expect he's just going to ban out Scouts, and I'm going to ban out the Shadow Isles based deck. I think it's just in general the best one that they have access to. And I would like to come out here and just remove all of the Shadow Isles-based removal spells. And so one of the places we really kind of struggle with the go wideness of the Scouts and the go wideness of the Viego deck is opponent playing cards like Avalanche and Blighted Ravine. We can't stop that out of the Aurelian Soul, but we can at least stop that out of this Trundle deck, which also plays stuff like... it's going to play stuff like... what do you call it? The Withering Whale and Vile Feast-like cards. Sometimes they even play the Ruination, which is still up there in the Lands of Badness. And so here, I started off with the Udyr deck. I kind of feel like this is our best bet across these matchups, and so I want to just get out in front and try and get our win with this one quickly. All right, but not a terrible start. Let's see. Oh no, our emotes are all fucked up. Oh, what a disaster. Oh god, I hope we can survive this. We'll see. We'll try our best. Not the worst start. We did pick up a challenger unit, picked up a better unit than the Vulpine Wanderer, so hopefully we can get off to a good start with these. He did get to start with Zoe, which is a little unfortunate. If they have the Catalyst Aeon ramps, and they just kind of ramp out perfectly, but I think we'll be okay. All right, let's go with the Protege. We can save the Bright Steel for later. Just get the most stats on board that we can here. So it'd be pretty terrible if he picks up a Silence. Looks like he's stopping to think about it, so it shouldn't be as bad. But if he has the Equinox for our Broadwing, it's pretty terrible. No two ways around that. It's not going to feel good if he has the Equinox. All right. Need to get some punch in here, though. I don't want to just build up like a big board and not be able to deal any damage. Once they're dropping Mount Targons and the like on us, we're going to be feeling the pain. Okay. Don't really want to open here. We've got to get all of this damage going. I'm going to start off with the Bright Steel. We'll load up our already big unit. I'm definitely going to be hooking the faces of the old ones with the Broadwing, but I want to be able to deal as much damage as we can this turn, and then hopefully pulling off a Golden Aegis next turn. Like he can't just play Mount Targon here. We're going to annihilate that play. Double stuns, okay. Not ideal, but the same thing still stands. And if he's not playing, Mount Targon and not playing ramp cards, then we're just going to be getting a bit of a boost here. Okay. Not super awesome. We're only going to get in 3 damage this turn, but I have hopes. I have dreams. He's not playing the big ramp cards, which is kind of nice. He's 1 turn away from being at 8 mana, where you start to see a lot of the bigger attacks come in. But not a big worry at the moment. I'd love to get this Faces of the Old One off the board this turn. Not sure if we're going to be able to do it, but would be a pretty big deal. Now that he's added the Blighted Ravine, how do we want to go about this? I'm like leaning towards putting... I'm leaning towards putting a stance onto the Brightsteel Protector, but then we can't attack this turn. So let's just get in as much as we can. He can't play his stuns anymore, which is kind of nice. But I feel like we might be a turn behind now. Kind of want to pull back the Hound so that we can play this stance swap, but it is. Oh no! Oh, what a disaster! Oh, we skipped right through the turn. Oh no! Oh no! That's a disaster. Uh-oh. Well, you can't be perfect all the time, I guess. Oh man. Okay. Well, let's try to punch in some damage this way. We can, if he doesn't have a unit here, we can load up the troll chant and try and get in. But oh man, that was rough. Okay, get in for a big 7 chunk here. Man, I don't know if this would have been a lethal attack this turn. Of course, they have more interactivity and stuff, but that was certainly a not good round of playing the barrier and passing. It's okay. I do like it when this stuff comes up sometimes, and that a lot of people beat themselves up when they make a misplay or a misclick like that. It is nice to accept that happens and not get upset about it. If the worst part of our day is having a bit of a whoopsies with with the game of Runeterra, then I think that's still a pretty good day. All right, let's get this Udyr going though. Maybe he can be our path to recovery. And like, I assume he's gonna do something. He's playing the ramp deck with 8 mana here. But we can reasonably present a lethal next turn. Not with the Revitalizing Roar, but we're not doing 20, but we can come in with a big one. She Who Wanders is problematic. We can't quite get out of range of that. Gonna lose our Broadwing. I think we just got to switch over to using Udyr. Not quite enough stances this game, my dude. If we want to go ahead and drop one, like the Broadwing's done for, right? Well, we can at least open next turn, which is nice. Where are we at if we give him Overwhelm, right? 6 + 7's 13, we're going to be 2 damage short. I was going to say we can give Udyr Overwhelm, hope that he just blocks Udyr with Ithid Stairs and then pop with Concerted Strike, but I think that's probably too big of an ask. I'm still going to give him the Overwhelm, but I don't think that I don't think that Hope and Dream's going to quite be good enough. Man, so close, so close. If we hadn't, if we hadn't overclicked that turn, in Expedition, I used to do a ton of playing a unit on the first turn and then just passing. You get to talking and stuff, and you just get to being a little clicky, and that happens on occasion. That's kind of what happened to us here, but I'm fine to bring Galio Udyr against the Malphite Talia again. See if we can't recover and beat up on this one twice. Bringing out them pool party skins. Well done. That was a good decision from opponent here. I do have to like look and see on occasion to see if there's some new and some good skins for us to use. I wasn't super stoked with all of them with our champion selection today. Okay, we can deal with the Rockhopper eventually. We're good to come out and build up some big boards here. This deck isn't super good about dealing with our width. Okay, if he wants to take the hook into and go ahead and slam down the sarcophagus, it's fine. We don't have tons of ways around this card with our deck. So he's 2 turns away from Talia, so that makes us feel a little bit safer as well. Right. Not a bad collection of bros coming at you. Double stuns all over the place today. Damn. Okay. We still have lots of power going on here, though. As he, wants to play Talia this turn. She's not the strongest thing that he could have happening. Salt Spire. Whoa. That one wasn't on my radar. What up, Chip? Alright. Let's boom in this damage while he's tapped out. Rip Chip. Poor guy. Poor guy. He just wants to hang out with his dad. Alright, so what do we do in this turn? Let's see what we draw. We do have the big power coming out of Shaman's Call this turn. And it's odd. Like, I can't imagine that he has a Talia, or he probably would have just played it last turn. She still would have been a good blocker against what we have on board. And then the next thing we have to worry about is the Malphite coming down next turn. But this hand is a little slow. I think I just want to go with the Shaman's Call and start looking for the +0/2 and regenerates. See if we can't get a bit of board control, and then just go after him next turn. Where you at? O2 regenerate onto here. The thing that we would need to kind of worry about here would be quicksand. It is super annoying if an opponent quicksands one of your formidable units and they don't deal any damage. But at least with this Broadwing hook into the Restored Devout, we're still strong. It's pretty tempting to, like, I want to play a stance swap onto something that isn't the Broadwing. I want to chunk in damage this turn in the event that he does have quicksand. But I mean, if we're going to put a +2/+2 on one of our formidables, it's just not going to work either way. Okay. So if he has like quicksand and shapestone, this is going to look miserable, right? I'm going to hook the devout with the Broadwing, and if he has both, then this is a real problem. This is also a problem if he like preemptively quicksands us right here. We lose our challengers, and we lose out on the majority of our turn. But kind of feels like that's what's about to come at us. But no, just nothing. Beautiful. The last thing you have to worry about with quicksand in these decks is you don't regenerate. And so if, say, he quicksanded our Broadwing, it would just go into the next turn and still have 2 health. You heal at the end of the turn with regenerate. And so if you're quicksanded, you don't get that health back. But looking decent here. It's like this is a space to where he just wants to drop Malphite. Just get the big stun and try and shut down our board. But he's had a pretty awkward draw here and didn't get to pull that off. Feel much safer now that Talia's on the board. With only 2 mana, there's not a ton we have to worry about. So let's barrier up our good unit. You can make a Talia attack and we'll just take the 10 damage. We're not at risk of dying. Okay. All right. So now the new question is, he is going to get like these 2 dudes on board next turn. Like, how do we want to handle these? It's like we have to hook in Talia. We can kind of safely do it with the Broadwing, but then we miss out on some points of damage. Can we ever just lethal this turn? Let's be real. Let's look at that. We can only hit for 5 coming out of the Hound, right? So it'll be too short. Then he's gonna have 2 blockers next turn. Okay. How are we doing these? We want to hook the Rock Bear with the Broadwing. We want to hook Talia with the other Broadwing, and then get in for the damage with the Hound. I think that's where we stand. I just don't feel like we can lethal next turn this way. We still have to clear this stuff out nonetheless. Let's just keep the stats on our bird. Only get in for 2. Not excited about playing for board here since he's going to get these 2 big units down next turn, but I don't think we have tons of choice in the matter. We needed 1 more challenger this turn so that we could sneak a bird in. Oh, we did miss 2 damage. I forgot that this guy had the regenerate. Okay. There's the Malphite. So he's gonna drop a stun somewhere. I'm curious if he even bothers to bring it onto Udyr. He doesn't. Okay. We've still got 3 mana. So if he has 3 blocks on our 3 biggest units, we can, we're kind of short on getting units up to 5, right? Say we want to hook the Broadwing, hook Malphite with the Broadwing. He's going to block Udyr with this big one, and then, we have to kind of preemptively do the damage wrong in order to get this hit in properly. Yeah, this just does not work out. We messed this up. Well, we could have flipped Udyr. Is that where my problem is here? We could have hooked the Malphite. I don't know about that. All right, this one's done, but just a touch short there. That was kind of odd. Definitely wasn't expecting to see the Salt Spires come down. I don't think that's one that we typically see out of the Talia deck. But GG's, that was a rough spot. That's what kind of lineup I've been like moderately interested in with the double ramp deck. That's what I was actually thinking of making this video on today. But I'm not really happy with the Malphite Talia deck. It is kind of interesting though. Like the way I kind of saw that one is if you go and take like the archetype list off of Balco's site where he has the Excel spreadsheet of the win rate matchups, and then you just sort by win rate against the Sundisk. That's how you come across a set of decks like that. Okay, into these. Lux Jace, fairly standard. I'm okay to play against it. It's not a nightmare matchup across any of the decks. This Yuumi Shadow Isles deck is the mist collar thing. Whatever the 2-drop is that eats a unit, you eat the attached units, and then you get the big bonus, and the attached unit goes back to your hand. I'm fine to leave that one around. I'm not sure what P and Z Gnar is, but it's probably the most kind of off the wall thing we're going to see. So I'll ban out the Jace deck, and then we'll play against the 2 off meta decks, if you will. Let's make sure we get some Viego out here today. Let's bring the Viego and the dog into our round 1 match. Okay. So what do we got here? Don't want to hang on to the dog. The rest of this is fine against Gnar. I do worry slightly about Gnar. We're playing a lot of 1 health units into the Pokestick deck. We'll just have to kind of be a little bit more defensive in how we play some of our spells. Like, I'm okay to just run these 0/1s out now. What I'm kind of more referring to is if we're trying to say get a Rite of Calling, or if we're trying to manage a Glimpse from Beyond. We've got to be a little bit careful in getting our cards Pokesticked out that way. Boom. It says, bring the damage upon me. Alright, we can't just kind of turn the corner and go aggro on him. This is the kind of space to where it's like, sometimes I wish that we were playing with Kindred. And this is one of these boards to where Kindred is pretty powerful between the quick attack challenge possibilities of Merciless Hunter, just having the sacrifice cards so we can play or enforce them into losing units and stuff. And so kind of makes me a little sad that we don't have her here, but we're going to come in with a big aggro draw this turn now. No Vigio's in sight, so I'm not super worried about just spewing off our sacrifice cards. You're about to get in combat. So we will have to, well, yeah, with P and Z, we do have to worry about Mystic Shots coming into Gnar, I guess, but alright, we'll just take it like this. We'll send the Butcher into Gnar. So if he has a Mystic Shot, then that's kind of okay. He's going to get the Pokestick out of it, but... Or blocks him for getting the Pokestick out of it. Then if he just only has a Pokestick, we still win the combat. I don't expect too many... oh, he's got the stick now. We can't play the right. I don't expect too many... like combat tricks out of these factions. I don't even know what combat... It would have to be something like a stress defense.
You dropped something.
Uh-oh, we got to discard... Oh, we're losing our quicksand. Okay. Let's just go ahead and lead off with the Glimpse Beyond. It's such an awkward spot. We can't just technically blow up a mana crystal, but that's such negative value. It's tough to find a spot for these things with the Pokestick in hand. I mean, what if... Let's take it this way, right? He's at 9. Let's just build this board that represents the lethal and see when he wants to drop the Pokestick on us. I think this is okay. So it reads like a lethal, it looks like a lethal. It's never going to be lethal, but I think this is where we start to get the openings to play around the Pokesticks and mess around with this board. Oh, just gives up on it. Okay. Good job, Nasus deck. Didn't need our champions today. Alright. Back to Galio Udyr. it's a little scary in terms of the God, what's that thing called? Not Mist Wraith. It's not Wraithcaller. I'm never going to get it in my head now what that attached deck is main unit is called, but we can kind of interact with it here with our challengers and our single combats, but they definitely have some scary plays that we aren't super good at dealing with. Right. Here comes that formidable squad. See if we get to see that conchologist. Nothing. Man, I've been wanting to play a bit of the Ezreal Heimerdinger deck as well. I don't know how good it is, but it's like the format kind of progresses now. I'm getting more and more interested in playing Vandal City cards, which is the infinite board stall and all the value and everything. There's not like the only deck to punish you just dartling around and generating a million cards is the Sun Disk. So it's down below, at least on the ladder meta, it's down below 10% or so now. Whoa. Bringing out all the Pharaoh's fanciers. You got it, my dude. I kind of like this next turn, being able to have the 5 mana, dropping a stance onto the Petricite Broadwing, and then still having access to Troll Chant. Like, I think we can start to build around this board with that combo. It seems like he's going to be having a little bit of struggle in dealing with this. Here we come, my dude.
Watch your toes. Come on.
Okay. Let's see if he's got a mystic shot for us. Ooh, a 4 damage beam? Alright. Well, that boomed us. Let's just bank up the mana. We have lots of good 2 mana plays here. I don't want to just have the Broadwing hanging out on this board. He's definitely ready to party, though. Jeez. All the Broadwings, all the Shaman's Calls. It's looking good. Udyr says, thanks for putting in the work, guys. I appreciate it. Oh, no. You know what I just realized? We forgot to update our emotes. That's so annoying. I don't know if it's like attached to the deck or if it's attached to the Gauntlet. Oh god, I gotta go and figure that out. I think it's the deck, but this is an actual disaster. I'm so upset right now. All right, let's grow these birds. Get the regenerates going. What is in store? It's going to be a huge epic, isn't it? We're gonna get this big board of birds with all of the Udyr cards, put them on everything, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, look, I just epicked into the ruination." I miss the good old days of playing against the telescope. Is this a no way this would be the Bandle Tree, right? The Bandle Tree typically plays Noxus for the spider, right? For whatever reason, I thought the spider counted for 2 ticks towards the Bandle Tree. I don't quite remember. Wow. Okay. That was a pretty hefty mana investment. I think I want to go ahead and just play a Brightsteel Protector to punch in the damage. Like, I was considering with the stance, do we want to just boost one of these smaller units so that we can just punch in a bunch of damage here, right? We could look to Brightsteel protect the bird, and then with the bird protected, we could punch in an extra 2 damage here. But I think I'm going to build up this board in the sense that if he only has one dude, which is what he's been like presenting here, we can just hook that one dude with the bird and be pretty okay. Golden Aegis was a big draw. May not be able to lethal this turn, but we should punch in. Oh, it's this stupid card. Okay. This stupid card. I hate this thing so much. But this game is done. Probably going to play like 6 or 8 pranks or so before before it rolls back to our turn, but wish this thing didn't exist. Oh. Enjoy. This guy's probably on the other side of the table saying, "Man, I wish these cards like Golden Aegis didn't exist." This FTP bust guy doesn't like to come out here and have fun. All right, though, our gauntlet is not over just yet. Let me see if I can't figure out how to update. Is there a loadout on this screen? Here it is. All right, so let me get this. Oh, it's all the decks. Oh man, Suppressor Scouts looks okay. What? What's going on? Suppressor Scouts? I've never seen this screen before. All right, well here's where the problems lie. Okay, let's get a good board. What the fuck? Why did it just put the thing on? Oh my god, Riot, get it together. Get it together. Reckoner's Arena, Cat, card backs, need the fist bump, emotes. Where are we at? Selfies, because it's annoying. Cat goes up to the top. I hope you all know how to do this right. You got to get the 2 Ezreal, or the 2 Echoes. The other one's down here at the bottom or something. Where's the other Echo? Here we go. And then, of course, the Ahri. Boom. Perfect. Perfection. Viego should be good as well. Okay. All right. We're ready for battles now. Now that that's fixed. That was embarrassing. I don't know why people even bother with this stuff. Load it up. Next thing you're going to be like, God, this whole deck isn't prismatic. This is odd. But okay. So I think with this, he's likely just going to come in and just ban the scouts. I would feel pretty good about taking scouts into both Heimerdinger, or Heimerdinger, whatever that guy is, Jace, and the Victor Aphelios deck. But I feel like we're going to come out here and he's just going to ban our scouts deck. And so with scouts banned, I'm fine to leave in Braum. Both of these decks we have deal reasonably well with whatever kind of like go tall thing he's presenting. I think I'm looking to just get rid of the Aphelios. I think that's the one that has like the most boom potential to where he's playing weird shit that just kills us. That's why we're going to have trouble dealing with Victors. We're going to have trouble dealing with ambushes. And we can probably handle these other ones. So let's get that one out of here. Oh, he bans Viego Nasus. Interesting. I want our scouts back. Now, I do worry about having to run scouts into this Braum deck. This is going to be probably a pretty terrible matchup. And so let's just start with the Galio Udyr. And maybe he'll be like, oh, he's going to start with scouts, so let me bring my anti-scouts deck, and hopefully we get to crash in with this Udyr against Braum. Didn't work. Oh my goodness. Oh no. All right, we'll keep the early package here. I want to find some dudes. We don't have like a really good dude package here. So we won't hang on to the Troll Chant, even though that's one of the, kind of premier early game combat cards. The Donger and Jace. Man, I want our scouts.
Come on, people. Let's make tomorrow today.
Okay, can't let this dum-dum run around, generating all the manas over and over again. Having to face the turn 1 play, it's very good that we drew the Vulpine Wanderer. Don't really just want to run these naked protectors out here. We won't trade into the fancier. We still have the lots of ways to protect our units. So don't feel the need to just slam into this. And about to have this 2/3 tough Vulpine Wanderer tearing up the early game. Are you bringing it? Pharaoh's Fancier coming into combat? Not yet.
A mistake is the first step to improving.
Look at this behemoth getting the tough. God, you got a large collection of cards. This is so wild to me. Like, I still will play a bit of Hearthstone on occasion, and I don't know what any of the cards do. And so there'll be something like generate a card or make some kind of effect happen, and I come out here and just like right click on it and nothing happens. It's like I don't think enough people appreciate how fantastic of a feature this is, and that all of the cards associated with this dude can be right clicked and pulled up and seen. Like it is so brutal for Hearthstone as to where like a card will say something else needs to happen or it generates something and you can't see what that generated card is. It is so brutal. And this has just been one of the premier features of the game here. All right, well, let's see where this gets us. I'm happy enough to add in the single unit. I don't think we're going to get like a good troll chant this turn, and I would prefer to just get to save our troll chant for another turn. We get to effectively counterspell this Mystic Shot, though. This is too good. Now we keep our unit. His block is terrible. We get to chunk in 5 damage. Quite nice. If he doesn't block, we get even more in. Nice. Well done, team. I'm proud of you. Flash of Brilliance. That's never good. You can't play any of those cards. Why are you doing that? Oh, for the hidden pathways? Okay. I'll give you that. Used to see a lot of people in Expedition do that. They would just throw down the Flash of Brilliance when it didn't do anything. And I thought that's what our friend here might have been trying to do, but he wasn't pulling that off. Interesting. We got the big Udyr turn now. He's got a Donger. Do have to worry a little bit about what's it called? The likes of a mini morph. Like if Udyr starts to get walloped, whatever. But if we come out here and invest 3 stances onto Udyr and he gets mini morphed, it's pretty disastrous. And so I'm pretty sure we do want to just do 1 damage to him. So just to pick up the turret. We don't have to worry about we don't have to worry about the Nasus card, the Scorched Earth, but I think we still want to have the health bonus attached to him. Now, the thing I'm curious about with the Donger coming at us is like how many turrets he's going to deploy in the terms of we can just AoE off these 1 health units. So I'm a little scared here. Well, he's only got 6 mana. It's like if I drop the Shaman's Call onto Udyr and then he has a Thermogenic Beam, it's kind of a disaster. So let's just go ahead and give him the +2/+2. And then see where we stand this turn. Then I kind of feel like if we give him the +2/+2 and he just passes, he's going to drop a Mini-Morph on us. And then if he plays other cards, then we'll know that we're pretty safe in terms of Udyr here. All right, so he's coming out and generating turrets and stuff. He's still got 6 mana. but we don't have to worry about it quite as much. Let's just go ahead and do the 1 damage AoE. Do we? Yeah, it's just it's so painful with him having 6 mana. I think the AoE is probably where it's at. Just we're missing out on a lot of potential damage here if he doesn't have it. Right, if he's like, here's a mini morph and then immediately gets to follow up with the 6/1 elusive, it's kind of scary, kind of sucky. Okay. He says, that's a scary Udyr. There's the mini morph. Okay. He's still ready to get in there in combat. He's in the mini T stance. It's not the not the bear stance, not the turtle stance, not the tiger stance. He's in the mini T stance. I dig it. All right, take opponent to 5. Now we can hopefully take this one down with the Golden Aegis. It's going to depend on how many spells and how many turrets he can drop with the Donger. Udyr just immediately shows back up. He feels a little slow here. I was really interested in dropping the Protege and then just dropping a Golden Aegis, but depends on what he does. Shock Blast for Floor Be Gone. Okay. That sucks. We're going to have to go for the Overwhelm play now. He's going to have his upgraded turrets, and the stance isn't going to be as meaningful. Alright, so we need a big Overwhelm, my dude. We need some poor interactivity from the opponent. We need a big Overwhelm here. So bad. So many wallops and mini morphs and kind of things he can have to shut down Udyr. Concerted Strike is a little interesting. It gives us a strike, but then it kind of shuts down our ability to do anything else this turn.
I'm still learning, but I'll help if I can.
I'm thinking I just want to attack with these units and then see if we can't go for the Golden Aegis. I don't know. It's like we're so far away from an Udyr kill, though. But I don't think we can be all in on Udyr is the problem. Ooh, he's only got... Well, you say, ooh, he's only got 3 mana. But that just, like, reeks of a wallop. Can we ever really play around it? I mean, we can play around it to a degree. I think this is the way we have to go about it. We just let this happen. His angle here is he's going to try and kill us next turn with the Florbigons. So he's going to... He's going to have the wallop this turn and then try and kill us with Florbigons. Next turn, though, we do have a Concerted Strike plus a Golden Aegis. So we have an angle to get out of this. But I can't imagine he would have just played the Shockwave without the immediate answer to our Udyr. Mystic Shot. Maybe he doesn't have the answer then. Okay. Well then. Maybe you do just win the game sometimes. 1 mana. There's nothing for 1 mana I'm missing here. Alright. Manatee stance doing it. Okay, so that was a very important game to win. As we're coming up with the Scouts deck here, Scouts is not particularly good against whatever Braum Soraka is bringing. I can assure you, Scouts is not going to be good against that. We do have, the Stony Suppressor package against Heimerdinger. I think we're okay against the Donger, but the Soraka the Soraka Braum thing has to just be a nightmare scenario. All right. Doesn't make us beat the bad matchup first. I appreciate it. Oh, and the suppressor coming right to the party. Okay. Technically upgrading his Heimerdinger, right? It makes all of his spells more expensive, so he gets more powerful turrets. that was actually a thing in the Grand Moments deck in Expedition. That was the Lux Heimerdinger pairing, and they would have the Stony Suppressor in there because it would increase the cost of your spells and then make you bigger turrets and make it easier for you to get to get Lux Final Sparks. Now, I don't agree with that being a thing. Well, I guess I have to agree that it's a thing, right? That is something that you can technically do. I have to disagree with it actually being a good path to victory.
Come on, people. Let's make tomorrow today.
All right, get that mana ramp right from the start.
Watch your backs. Keep it up.
And I didn't take the time to talk about it. I assume everyone that's watching the videos watched every single scout video that we've put out. But this isn't like a game ender. This doesn't just like crush the game and say, "Hey, I win now." This isn't like my comparison's always to Magic. And if you were playing a deck like Dredge, Dredge was the big graveyard-based deck in Magic. You could play something like Rest in Peace that would just end the game, right? It says your graveyard's gone, you basically just lose the game. That's not the case here. This is just if we can get them to like soak up an extra like 2 or 3 mana, or if we say play Misfortune and then they have to come out and decide where they want to spend their mana now. And that mana not being spent on the suppressor, it just either snowballs a bunch of mana into their game plan, or it and they can't, or it just like delays them enough to give you time to get the rest of your dudes on board. But here, this is starting to look okay. We're building up to Misfortune here, then the Broadwing and the Sergeant next turn, and then a big Vanguard Bannerman attack. This is starting to come together kind of nicely. I don't think we want to take the trade with the Protector into the Fancier just to get the single tick up on Misfortune, right? We aren't playing a ton of Scouts like we typically do, and so we don't get as many good Misfortune attacks in here. It's not like we're going to be rallying next turn with a Scout on board and getting 2 attacks and then having the flip Misfortune on our next turn. Brings in the Donger. We need to get a good blocker on the board. I wanted to get the Durandi Sculptor down, but we have to have just another good dude, or he's going to be able to swing in too powerfully. So we'll get the Sergeant, we'll get the Broadwing. Next turn we'll play the Bannerman. And then we should be statted up enough to handle the Donger and the rest of his team. The downside with this one is he's going to get a good turret, right? We're not going to be opening into Heimerdinger. And so he does have some pretty good opportunity here.
All right, let's get to work.
Right, if he has a Shock Blast, that's going to be a real pain. I guess we can like Ranger's Resolve out of Shock Blast, but this turn is definitely giving me some pause because we don't have a good answer to the Donger. 6 damage into Broadwing. Okay. And here, I'm just going to attack with the Sergeant and the Bannerman. We are building up to a good Golden Aegis plus 4 Demacia turn. And so I'm still not quite ready to just come in and trade these units away. Get the floor be gone. Okay.
I hate traffic.
That would be 3 turns from now if we're going to do both the Aegis and the 4 Demacia in the same turn. A little bit less time if we get the Suppressor off the board, but I think it's still going to be doing quite a bit of work here. It is scary, though, that he's untapped with the Donger, right? That's pretty tough for us to deal with. We can't come at it this turn, though. Like, play a Sculptor, play a Broadwing, play a Golden Aegis.
Well, if it isn't the man of tomorrow.
Hey, back to work if you don't want to be the lady of yesterday.
We'll see. If he starts playing Shock Blast, well, he can't Shock Blast because we have the Suppressor on board, but yeah, this is the turn we need to make some magic happen. Hopefully. Mystic Shot's okay.
Slight adjustment.
Yeah, this isn't even that great of one. We don't have a lot of good stuff happening this turn. I have to get this Donger off the board, but this is not an ideal turn. Okay. So many values. It's like, do we really want to just trade the 4 Demacia for this board? We're probably stuck doing it. This is the space where we need like a Genvivi, or we need another big way to go about this. We just take all this? Jesus, fell to 6. We're going to get Shock Blast out of this one. But giving up our board's not going to win us this game.
A little reinforcement at the seams.
Yeah, Shock Blast is a real pain here. Which one was that? Is that his 3rd Thermogenic Beam? Mini Morph. Okay. We're bringing it. It'd be a lot cooler if he wasn't at 20. But this should at least get 3 or 4 units off of the board.
Need clearance, pal.
Get everyone but Jace. Alright. Still don't feel great about it. He's a pretty powerful bro to have on board. But that certainly gives us a bit of promise here. I don't care about him having double attack. We'll just throw something in front of him. And Cytheria. Okay. That's some of the punch we need for next turn. It's unfortunate we didn't have her on the previous attack to where we could come in and try and take down... try and take some of this stuff down.
Show them what we're made of.
And this Ranger's Resolve is pretty choice against what he has on board. And so the Jace will, blow something up, but we're pretty strong against everything else. Well, he's not going to Acceleration Gate. He doesn't have the mana. He's probably just going to pass. Oh. That's a decision. That's going to turn the game right around for us.
Shield up. Stay still. Fall by my sword.
That's got to be good, right? Alright, well maybe we can do it. He can play some annoying cards into this, but I think that's probably gonna do it.
Where's my hammer?
Say that one might have been a little greedy. Uh-oh. He says it's not over yet, Bust. It ain't over yet. Gonna bring another removal on us. Cause a problem. Oh, that's not lethal. We get the Jace off of the board, but we only leave them at 1. Kind of scary. Kind of scary, my friends. Thought we were just gonna boom right through there, but at least definitely feels better with the Jace off the board. Not doubling up his spells anymore. Uh-oh. The new Donger. So if he has this, we die to this. Ooh, well, that's kind of interesting in that if he drops the elusive, then we're just dead. But the acceleration gate costs 7, so that would be giving him the barrier guy, I believe. I don't know what 7 is. Yeah, barrier, not the floor be gone. He needs the 6 mana spell to get the KO on us.
My shield is yours.
So maybe. I'll give it a maybe. What a clutch Sony suppressor, am I right? I was afraid it wasn't doing enough this game, and then it comes in and it protects us from the floor be gone.
Hey, show me that again.
Is that double? Oh, that's lame. So close. We were so close to getting there.
Here we go.
Boo. Man. Alright. I thought that match was ours. 1 damage short. Damn. Alright. Now we got to go into this matchup. This matchup's going to be terrible. Playing against any iteration of Soraka with scouts is just never good. I'm not exactly sure what the appeal of Braum is, right? You usually see Braum paired up with something like Demacia, so you can take advantage of formidables. Like, he's certainly just weaker than Tom Kench, but you don't have to play Bilgewater and shitty Bilgewater cards, so that's a definite difference. But all right. In his deck picking, he probably had to go take a shit or something. He'll be right back before the before the game starts. You just let the timer go down so you can take a dookie. Okay, another one. Like, I think we can get rid of the Ranger's Resolve here. Keep the suppressor and then just look for cheaper plays. You gotta have some early interactivity against this stuff. I don't think the suppressors here will be as good as they are against the Tom Kench versions, right? Against Tom Kench, they're trying to play all those combat tricks as the means to heal for Soraka. I don't think that's going to be as important here. But if we get a chance to build a board, that'll be nice.
A Demacian soldier is worth 10 foes.
That is a pretty good looking turn 5 for Demacia.
We'll take what we need to survive.
He's going to Braum us.
A drop of kindness creates many ripples.
Okay. I mean, that's where we're at, right? We either have the choice to play the 4 Demacia next turn, or we can try and start to make like Misfortune plays. I don't think Misfortune's where it's at. I think we want to get the Broadwing down and then just trade the 4 Demacia for 3 of his units. He's going to have a real tough time interacting with these Broadwings if, coming out of Freylord. They're going to have a lot of like Troll Chant and Frostbitey kind of interaction, which doesn't do anything to the Formidables. So Do things change with the bright steel? I think they do. That makes this a little bit different. We can get Misfortune going now. Misfortune is a little awkward against cards like Scarthane Stefan. Since she's going to like pop the unit and then the unit's going to grow. But I think this is still good enough here. That's the unit we're going to be targeting. And then do we actually just chunk in for 9? We lose 2 Broadwings but get a ton of damage in. I think this is good, but like we're so close to just having good boards after this. Let's give it some time. Just build up to this golden Aegis for Demacia turn. It's alright, we can still Aegis this turn. We'll see what he plays and how we feel about it. I think this is fine. Just try and get this Spring Guardian off of the board. And then on our next turn, we'll have the Fort Demacia. I like it. Do we even bother? I don't think so. He doesn't have a ton of mana, though, I guess. Like, I don't super care if he swings back at us, right? He's like, disincentivized to attack us when we have this barrier on the board, right? I have to say he's going to, like, 100% come in with both of his units now. But I think we're healthy enough to not worry about it. Now we get to make the hashtag LCS big plays. I don't think that's a hashtag anymore. Back when I used to watch the League of Legends, that was the hashtag for when the big plays were made. That's what we're doing right here. We're making the big plays. Getting the giant board and the Misfortune flips. Battle Fury. I like your style, dude. I like your style. Battle Fury, that's the stuff right there. Alright. That's unfortunately a lethal. We didn't get to make the Golden Aegis play, but it was enough to secure victory on the day. GG, my dude. That was a fun match. That was a good set of games. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, on to the next one. What do we got here? Okay, so Talia Malphite again, sure. This Ezreal Kennen thing is just an Ezreal face deck. I would love to be able to slam scouts against it with the Stony Suppressors if your game plan is to just turbo out lightning rushes, but I wouldn't be surprised to see scouts get banned. And then the Sun Disc, like, scouts is okay. The Viego deck is kind of a coin flip. It's a slightly unfavored coin flip, and I'm not exactly sure where Udyr stands, but I think the Sun Disc is the one we want to get rid of, even though we did manage to lose to the Talia Malphite earlier. So we'll slam that one out of here. He bans scouts, sure, and then let's just start up with the Viego. So man, I brought up the other day talking about the difference between housing and apartment living and stuff. This is where I've got myself into now. We've got cats. We want a litter box somewhere to where people don't hang out. I used to keep it in here in this room, but it's kind of like confined. It gets cat litter fucking everywhere, and I'm pretty sure my lungs were getting like clogged up with cat litter dust, and so we had to move it. We're going to move it into the basement, but there's no direct way into the basement without walking around the house and getting in through the garage. And so I've purchased a cat door tunnel. It's like a little tunnel thing. You put your it's got doors on it and stuff, and so they have a way to kind of make their way into the basement. and then I also have to build stairs. It's whenever whenever I see one of those posts on Reddit that's saying that if I had a mortgage, it would be the same as my rent, and there's no additional cost attached to it. That's my new thought as it comes into this: is do I hire a professional to install this cat door and build some stairs, or am I gonna take this one on my own? And as it currently stands, I've got the door. I might later today run out there and tear up the walls and see what we can do. Once I get like the hole into the walls, building the stairs, I don't think it'll be that bad. I'm sure it will. I haven't watched any YouTube videos on that yet, but I'm certainly feeling comfortable and confident in fucking up the walls today and getting that cat tunnel assembled in there. But nonetheless, back to this one. I mean, if this Rite of Calling gets Mystic Shot, I think it's kind of okay now. We have both champions in our hand, and so it's not ultra important to draw one of them. It would be nice if we got to draw the other champion. It's not just giving up cards for free, but I think it's safe to go for it there. And now we can start popping off on board. I don't really want to slam this Waking Sands before we get Viego down. It's always super nice to get this +5 bonus to the dead allies thing. And so I don't think I just want to completely run it out. We could look to do it next turn. I think that's okay. So he's only got one good block here. I mean, if he puts Shadow Assassin in front of the Abomination, that's fine. The Wayfinder can get a good block in front of the Treasure Seeker. That's okay. The Kennen, I assume, is not going to get involved here. Wants to save him for recall plays. Okay. Might already have one in hand or has a recall in hand. Retreat. Yeah, same thing. Okay. Now that I think on it more, I can't even remember if this deck plays... This deck doesn't play Mystic Shot. I played a few games with this. The only P and Z in the deck is Ezreal. So we should have known that we were safe. But this isn't a deck we see all over the place. Okay. Trying to remember what their bounce package is now. It's kind of dangerous to be slamming Vigeos and then just having him get bounced. I think what I'm kind of leaning towards here, the downside on this turn with the fading icon is if the 0-1 gets stuck on the board, then we can't drop our Waking Sands. But it's like he's bringing in an attack on us. Okay, yeah, I don't think we can... I don't think we can play Viego. It's just too dangerous if he drops a bounce spell. I think we might just be dead this game, but we'll see what he does.
Quick hands make quick work.
He's gonna have the spells for the Eye of the Dragon as well. Yeah, this is a disaster. We really need things like our Vile Feasts to come in and interact with this stuff.
This way.
Okay, I'm gonna block with the Prey. I just want to get this off the board, but everyone else can stay home. Still needs a second spell for his Eye of the Dragon. He's bound to have something here. It's very easy to have a retreat or something. This is brutal. Can't beat two of these. It's like we're in the spot to where we would like our path to victory at this style of deck would be Viego attacking through, but they play so many bounce spells. It's going to be tough to pull him off. We'll still try it. Very, very strange that he didn't have a second spell last turn. It's like I'm just eyeballing this despair now. It's a little too dangerous to drop, but our Vigio is not going to die this turn, which is the big thing coming out of these. Let's just go ahead and get a Waking Sands in. We'll see if he can't get some of this stuff off of the board. I think we're stuck here. It is like kind of tempting to bring everything. Like, how would we feel if we just like lost these 3 units in the back line, right? If he blocks with the Eye of the Dragon, and the the Saiyan Thousand Tails, we just lose our back line. I think that's probably too greedy. Stop here. I would expect the Wayfinder to block the Charger, give or take about how much he actually cares about Vigio. I assume the level of cares he has is pretty low. Very good chance he just has like a bounce card to like a retreat or a recall. I think they play like 3 recalls and 2 retreats or something along those lines in terms of self-bounce for the Kennen. Yep. Okay, so this will get Vigio up to 5, 7 dead at the end of the turn. And then again, maybe we can pop a Despair onto one of his units. I'm not like super confident in that happening, and now I feel kind of bad that we didn't just throw away our smaller units. But we got to have these champions on board to get our removal spells going.
Stay safe. I'll take it from here.
I am light. I break the wind.
Okay, bring the marks. Thinking on this one real hard. Jesus. Okay. These things fleeting? I can't remember. Yeah, the marks are fleeting.
See all of it.
There's the Ezreal. Okay. He says, uh-oh, what if the quicksand comes at me? There you go. There you go. All right. So we just got to bring the squad now. I don't think we can be slow enough to not bring the dudes in. And then something should die. We should be getting a Vigio pop at some point in here. So that he gets to grow just a little bit. He's gonna block and kill something down here to the left.
Your lesson begins.
Don't want any trouble.
The dragon binds us.
Game says this will take him to 8. Sure. Alright, so we're going to have to go after this Ezreal now. The question is, like, what way do we want to do it? We have both the Siphoning Strike and the Despair. I think we want to lead with the Siphoning Strike and accept that it's probably just not going to work. And then follow up with the Despair. Maybe we start with the Despair. Since there's like just a pretty good chance that he'll try and counter it with a bounce. I guess if he has a bounce, we're in kind of a shitty spot either way, but let's lead with the Despair. Like, ideally, we don't want to be taking damages this turn, right? And if the Despair happens, then we can kind of get around that. The other thing we have to kind of stop and consider is what if we get Vigio to flip this turn while he has an Ezreal on the board? and then we're able to we're able to just like ace him with his abilities. I don't think that that's going to happen, but we do need to deploy the Waking Sands here. This will give us the 8 power we need to flip our Viego. Looks like that's about to happen. So we'll get to borrow one of his Eye of the Dragons, and then if he leaves the champion on board, then we'll get to just ace it next turn, assuming Viego survives. Seems reasonable.
I possess the secrets of Kinku.
We love it when they
Let's see how involved we can get with this Kennen. I assume he's just gonna like start spewing off spells, but let's see. And if he recalls our unit, we want him to recall Nasus, right? We want to keep Viego on the board so that he can come out here and do champion stealing kind of things. I don't think his weakest unit will ever be the champion with the Eye of the Dragons on the board, but worth a shot.
I will not be made to wait.
Deny, sure. But he is down to 3 cards now, which leaves him a little light in terms of dealing with a lot of this stuff. Like we have to take the Ezreal hit here. There's nothing we can do about that. But we are starting to drain him of cards. Well, it felt like we were starting to drain him of cards, and then he did just pick up a ton. So he's going to kill our Viego here. Right, he's got 2 damage from Mark of the Storm, 2 damage from Mystic Shot. You shouldn't do it like this. I know it's a nice time saver to spew the cards off like this, but if we had the Rite of Negation in hand, it would counterspell both of these instead of just countering one. Okay. I think we need to overwrite the Encroaching Mists as well, and then just see what we can do with the open next turn. As it stands, he doesn't have a blocker for Nasus, and so we might be able to get a fearsome kill here. So I want to put a unit that can actually kill Kennen in front of Kennen. So we'll do the Camaverin here. And then try and chunk in with the fearsomes. Again, I don't think that this is going to lethal frequently. I think this game is probably done. I think we're probably just dead. But this does give us a path to victory. Recall and Homecoming. Okay. Then we're going to have to see if we can't just find an atrocity now. I don't think we're just dead yet. One from Kennen. We might be able to pull something off next turn. There's the atrocity. This will take us to 1. Oh, we'll just die. With the new rules, we'll just die with his spells on the stack. We're going to be too slow.
breathe in, breathe out.
That'd be a little too slow. Right, because he's got the seedling that's going to pop and give him a thing. Okay. GG. That's a tough one. We don't have the interactivity to deal with that deck. We really need to be running scouts out there. But that's another one of those things to where, like, whenever I talk about playing against an Eye of the Dragon deck, Typically you can beat one, and beating two is tough to do. It's tough to pull off, and so with him getting the second one down, it gains like 8 and 10 health just on the single card. You can usually like deal with the one like acing 2 units over and over again, but 2 of them on board is just too much to deal with. All right, but here we need a more unit-based start. I'll hang on to the Vile Feast. It should still be decent against Rockhoppers, but I'm looking for some more early game interactivity here. Perfect with the Treasure Seeker. Oof.
A little further. Bingo.
Got the hops. Sure.
Look at this place. Out of my way.
Got our single copy of Vengeance. I'm ready. I'm ready for Malphite. We're ready. Bring it upon me. Kind of a tough space. I think we'll just take the 3 from this turn. Well, I guess we did just throw the Merciless Hunter into the whims of the thing. I was thinking that we'll just let this happen and then Vile Feast Treasure Seeker it down next turn. But I think at the end of the day, this is okay. Gotta find me some of that good stuff. Where's one of them Vigios at? Gotta get us a champion here.
Stands beneath me and wins behind me.
Let's just trade. Like, there's no chance that the Spirit Leech is ever going to get in for damage. We could try and leave it on the board for the Sarcophagus so we can block the 5/3, but we already have like a couple of units that can deal with it. I think I'm fine to just clear out the board. We just really need a champion here. Like, Talia's pretty annoying if he has it. I don't think she'll be flipped. Yeah, she's flipped.
We are stronger than stone, faster than the wind.
So we're gonna get boomed hard next turn.
On the horizon and your feet on the ground.
So we just gotta take 10 if we don't block. Okay. Let's do the Fading Icon. So we'll just take 4. The Prey will definitely get in front of Talia. Alright. So we have the blockers for her, but we don't have a very interactive draw for this. Get the dudes on board. See, like, everything can interact well enough with the Sarcophagus. We just got to deal with her. I'd say he's going to leave her at home. Maybe put out trades for these, but I don't think Talia is going to get involved in this combat. And we're just going to have to pop her with Vengeance after the fact. Can't take another one of those attacks. He does come in. Interesting. And a stun. Interesting. And so I mean, I think this Vengeance is okay. It's just really bad if he has a Malphite afterwards. But I guess we can kind of deal with Malphite, or we can't really deal with this Talia. I don't know how many land does this say? Is it 9 of 10 landmarks? So he needs another landmark before he can start getting the ground slams. All right. Here comes the chip. Oh, this is so bad. This draw is just not working out. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get the drain in so we can immediately play the Spirit Leech, but this is brutal. Rite of Negation could be big. They play when they have the Malphites down and they're dropping the stun everything's. It's nice to have access to Quicksand. Would also be nice to have access to a champion. I wonder what that would feel like if we had a champion. I mean, maybe we should go about playing more Rite of Callings just to have access to them, but there you are, finally, my dude. Thanks for coming to the party. Okay. Okay. I don't know about this. Can't always just despair Malphite. That's always a thing. Just take 7 to the dome. Oh, okay. Alright. That was just too much. This deck really, really needs Viego to pop off. Like, I can't remember if it was in like this video or in the last one where we actually managed to win a game or two without drawing champions. But if you don't draw Viego in these matchups, it's just incredibly painful. And so I'm not sure. It's like you run into so many like weird spots with Rite of Calling to where it's not good. Because you've like already drawn your champions, or it can get counterspelled kind of easily. But when you have games like that where you don't draw your champion, it's just a complete disaster. So here I'm fine against all of this. I'm gonna ban out the Jace Lux. I think we're pretty decent against darkness across the board. I'm curious if this is going to be like one of these dudes that just bans scouts. Excuse me, and then I'm fine to play the mirror match. And so let's get the Jace Lux out of here. Oh, he bans the Viego. Interesting. All right. I'm going to start off with our Galio. It should be reasonable against these. I'm not exactly sure how the matchup stands. But like the Viego Nasus doesn't play the amount of removal that really makes this deck come out and worry. Okay, Darkness. Haven't seen you in a long time. It was interesting. This was just the Darkness deck was just the big result of the Sun Disk. Just the way I talked about the Sun Disk in our previous video was it really just shaped up the format to where your deck had to be able to win by like turn 8. If you couldn't win by turn 8, then the Sun Disk would just make the movie start and beat you, and Darkness can't win that fast. And so with the Sun Disk being like 20% of the meta, you just couldn't realistically play it. But now that it's down to only 10% of the meta or so, it's not nearly as bad. Here we can drop the Broadwing. Shouldn't be able to attack into this, and then if we have the Bright Steel into it next turn, it's a decent bonus. Okay. We can most certainly like recover the Broadwing's health with the regenerate stance. Okay, pretty good pickup in Inner Beast. If he plays another 2 health unit, we're able to take it down. Wow, he just runs Conchologist directly into our barriered unit. That's wild. That's wild, I tell you. Okay. Works for me. Udyr, he says, I'm ready to party. Let's get this one going. So he's got a Darkness. Definitely going to get to use it. We're just like a little bit slow with this Concerted Strike, though. It's kind of turdy with how our hand is shaped up here. So a lot of these stances just don't work, right? If we want to put a stance down, well, he's just going to darkness directly into it, and then we can't concerted strike. So let's just attack, see how he starts this off, and then we're going to concerted strike Vagar. If he ends up spending some more mana, we may get to... oh, this was dangerous, right? We should have done this beforehand. We might find ourselves having to troll chant now. We should have done this before we attacked. So if he has group shot or if he has Vile Feast, he can't Vile Feast down the Protector. Right now we're stuck playing some of these shitty cards. Okay, that's fine. So he can't Darkness anymore. I think you don't need to stance swap. As soon as we play Udyr, the stance will go to free. Okay. It's okay-ish. It's not ideal, but again, like playing against these go tall decks is not is a little dangerous against people playing Vengeances. But here's Udyr. I'm kind of leaning towards just making the Wanderer a 4/4, but we have some fairly safe options this turn. Not cool, dude. I was curious if we shouldn't have just led with the Troll Chant. Because the Troll Chant would have prevented enough damage to just have this work. But... alright. I don't want to get like super invested in this Udyr though. He's kind of in Vengeance territory, but I am like curious now if we're ready to just drop Shaman's Call. Not now that we drew the Broadwing, but we had some decent options there. We can power through most everything. Like the 4/5 would be kind of annoying. Pokey Stick is an interesting choice. If he's just digging for something. We don't have to play the stance just yet. Now what's he do? Is he like Ziad Vagar? Is that his angle? Huh. So if he has Vengeance onto Udyr, that's fine. I was hoping to get to play one of these for free, but this is still okay at the end of the day. And protect our bird a little bit. Also, importantly, makes it big enough to take down essentially every unit in their deck. The Senna and the Vagars have 4 health. The 6 mana dude's a 4/5, so she should be able to do some pretty strong battles here. He's short on Vengeance mana now. Let's come in and try and take down this Vagar. Give him a little protection from this stuff. I don't want to advertise this attack we're about to make into Vagar, and then he just drops drops its health with the darkness. And so I feel safer here. This will let his guy grow up to 5 next turn. It's not awesome, but it's manageable. He's already played 2 Vile Feasts. It should be tough for him to put another relevant blocker down. He's played Vile Feast twice. This is his second Catalyzer. There's not too much, just like 2 mana cards left in their deck. So now we should be safe to pop Vagar with the thing. He'll trade his Catalyzer for a 2/2 and take 5. His Darknesses will then be big enough to take down the Broadwing, but I think that's okay. So this takes him to 7. Sure. Alright, need some magic to happen this turn. was like, wouldn't it be cool if we just drew Galio? Galio would get some work done, but we're in a spot here to where we have to start making some of these other cards work. That one's annoying, and so I would assume that the darkness is going to be pointed at our biggest unit. So I'm going to go ahead and put the +2/+2 on the Vulpine Wanderer, see what happens there. And then I think we're just going to have to go big with the Tavern Keeper. We can give him +2/+2, we can give him Overwhelm, and then attack with him on the left. Yep. But the lifesteal is going to cause us a real problem. Two. Commit. Give him Overwhelm. So we at least get to chunk a couple points of damage in over the Sentinel. And this is like the idea here is this makes him block to the left. But I think we're probably done for this game. It's gone a little bit too far. Brother's got 5 cards in hand. And so, oh boy, another one? Okay. Good job. But that's exactly my point with the Sun Disk, right? Darkness can't win the game before turn 8. That was like turn 10 or 11 or 12 or so. And so, even with like with the Sun Disk not being as much of a part of the meta, you're able to start to seeing these decks come to shine. And now you could always, at least in Gauntlet, come out and just ban the Sun Disk and assemble a lineup kind of like this guy has, to where you can't beat the Sun Disk and you just get it out of the format. But that doesn't mean that every other deck in the format isn't like warped with the Sun Disk matchup in mind. And so that's what we're kind of like seeing with these formats and how they shape up. All right, reasonable enough start here. The Broadwing should hopefully be able to come in and do some work. No plays? Interesting. All right. So I'm looking to just go with the Protector here. It lets us keep the mana backed up for something like the Inner Beast, and then as we move on to the next turns, it just flows a little bit better. It will be a good target to put the Tough on the Broadwing, but I wanted to make sure we have the mana for this turn still. Okay. So not horrible. I'm going to go with the Tavern Keeper out of this. Go ahead and boost our Broadwing back up, and then next turn we can do Proteges and a stance swap, or we can double Protege, however we want to do it. We can get a pretty interactive turn happening. Still want the Protege even with the Bright Steel turning up. Well, let's see if he drops Viego here. That would be kind of the problematic card of the turn. Also have to worry about our Broadwing getting hit with Vengeance. I think we want to just go ahead and attack here. Probably not. Let's play it a little safe. I think I feel better adding a unit as opposed to adding a stance swap. This Vengeance is a little much here. It feels like he either really wants to play Viego but can't, or he wants to play a Vengeance. Yeah, and so I don't want to get 100% invested in this bird. So now it's fine. We can chunk in for 9. He's probably going to trade with something. Sucks to lose out on your sacrificers with these decks, but something will probably happen there. And now his cards like Viego aren't quite as scary that we have the full board. There he is. No blocks. Looking, we'll just take the damage, I assume. Well, he's not going to attack probably because we have fearsome blockers, but I assume that we would just take the damage here and then open and try and kill next turn. He's got to have quite a few answers to our board, and then even if it goes wrong, we have the follow-up Galio. That was weird. It was like, I knew we were coming in for 15, but the thing over here to the left just kept flashing 12. That was strange. Oh, is he going to have double Vile Feast? Wow. Wow, I tell you. Okay. Not bad. Most decks play between, well, a lot of these decks play 0. 2 is the max, like we're playing 2, so it's pretty powerful to already have both of them. How close are we with flipping Galio here? He's going to be 8. 8 plus 9, 17. We're going to be 1 short of the Galio flip. All right. I'm still just going to drop him because this is our mana efficient play, and I don't expect that we're going to run into a lethal next turn. We'll run into another card that interacts with him positively, but it's kind of a pain in the dick, my dude. How far is Udyr? We haven't done any stance swaps this game. Let's be real. We have this giant spell-shielded Galio. We can block some of this stuff. We should probably just be looking for an overwhelm play with him next turn. And so, not ultra worried about the Hydra Vines coming in here. I do want some amount of blocking here. I don't want to just die to a... I don't want to just die to an atrocity. But if we get Galio overwhelm, and then +2 health that takes him up to 10. Also just a reasonable chance we get him to flip next turn. Let's drop Udyr. My intent here is just to block with Udyr. And see where that gets us. Udyr's still a good block onto Viego. And then if he starts playing other cards, I don't think he'll play more cards here. He's just either going to attack or pass. But we had the chance to get an additional stance in hand. Sure. Okay, that should be enough. There's them Galio flips. See the mountain. Bring up the mountain stance, my dude. Oh, those are going to cost 0 anyways. It's like, well, let's get some stances real quick just in case, but Udyr's not going to make them cost enough. So we should be good here. Gonna get one of them juicy rallies as well. All right, my dude. What are you bringing at us? GG. All right, good job there, Galio. We appreciate your efforts. Now we got the scouts up against the Viego deck. It's not a premier matchup. It feels a lot better when they aren't playing Vile Feast, right? Vile Feast tends to be a real pain in the ass for this style of deck. Now, granted, we've moved away from a lot of the 1 health units, right? We are playing the birds, but we are only playing one copy of Quinn. We're not playing the Quinn bird. We're not playing Marai Warden. We're not playing the 4-cost Bilgewater dude. And so we do have like lots of cards that would typically be bad in this matchup that are now going to be okay. But like with their kind of style of just completely come out and flood the board, we have a hard time punching damage in. And then Viego is a gigantic problem. Do not have answers to Viego with a deck like this. And so excuse me, I worry about this matchup. I was kind of expecting this guy just to ban scouts. And so I guess we should have kind of thought of that a little more and figured he probably wouldn't, but that was my ultimate concern with what we're up against. But not a bad start here.
I'm one of the good guys, but not that good.
Here, I'll just take the 4. This isn't that big of a deal. Looks like he might be thinking about Glimpse Beyonding the Encroaching Mist, but this 4 will just take and continue on with our aggro kind of plan. It was pretty nice that he didn't start off with any of the board stall units. Getting down the various protective units is a little bit of a pain in the ass when you're able to block with a prey token and Glimpse Beyond it away and just stop the amount of damage we're coming in with. Now this is kind of an interesting space. We can like Ranger's Resolve out of this. And it's fairly tempting to do. Like our attack that next turn, like we're just going to be kind of like losing the same units. I think this is okay. Right? We don't have the ability to turbocharge Misfortune here. And so with her falling, it's not the end of the world. We can also say like come into next turn and try and Brightsteel protect Misfortune so she doesn't die to Vile Feast, but I think that's a little much. I don't think we need to go that far into it.
All right, let's get to work.
Mm-hmm.
I've got your back.
Oh, nice. Was not expecting to get to chunk damage in here. I was very much expecting a rando 3/3 of some sort to come down. Sure, that's very lucky for us. Like I'm curious how spell heavy this hand is, and if we can't get him with the suppressor. The suppressor is usually not particularly strong against these decks. You know, they aren't playing a ton of spells, and the spells they do play tend to be more like utility kind of things. But the suppressor into Sergeant into Garen next turn. That's some pretty decent booms. Okay. I wonder if we can get him. I don't want to lead with the suppressor here. But it's like I'm just seeing this Vengeance just cost a little bit more. We're never gonna like completely get out of this, but maybe we can get some help out of this.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
He's already played all his Vile Feasts. He drew them all again, and so it's a little late to the party. But I mean, if his play this turn is a Vengeance, he puts Spirit Leech in front of the Brightsteel. He's still taking 9 damage. That's pretty healthy. Nasus is problematic. I'll give him that. Fuck. Okay. This is what I talk about where these decks are problematic. We can't attack here. We're not dealing enough damage. We have to wait and do stuff with Golden Aegis now. So I think this turn we can look to add Broadwing. And we can play Golden Aegis. And then next turn, hopefully we can get a big 4 Demacia in. Looked like he was just thinking about opening with Vengeance, right? That can't be a unit, that has to be a spell. It's like he put a spell forth and then pulled it back. I think that would have been a Vengeance. Desert Duel. Same thing. He's got an 8/5 Nasus. Slightly problematic. We can try and like block him and take him down with the Broadwing, but I don't like this. His Fearsome Strike on the Brightsteel taking down to 8. I think I prefer. Well, it's like we're in this spot to where. I mean, if we're just going to be attacking right back into him, I think we have to block. Okay. Sad noises. And are we okay with trading everything with the Spirit Leech? I think that's fine. Whoever he wants. I'm going to say, if he comes in and takes down the Suppressor, that does open us up to playing both the Vanguard Sergeant and the 4 Demacia next turn. So we could get an extra unit out of it. Fucking disaster. Okay. But that's tough, right? That's... for scouts, like whenever we were playing our scout heavy lineup, we were always looking to ban Pantheon. Like that's very similar to what you would run into with a with the Pantheon lineup, or the Pantheon matchup, I should say, is to where like if they get that really big unit on the board, you run into real struggles, especially if they can like force some other kind of trade. Like you could deal with it if it was just like they had the one faded unit and they were just stuck spending spells on the faded unit over and over and over again. Like you could kind of deal with it in that you could kind of hook that unit to the side. But once they're able to get the a second unit on board to where you're trying to deal with the big one and then they're able to take down your next best one with something else, it was just kind of done. And so as I'd kind of mentioned at the beginning of the video, I ran into a lot of these problems with scouts. I love scouts. I was trying to play scouts quite a bit on the ladder, but with all of the Udyr decks running around, they present the same kind of problem as to where they're going to just try and stack up on one unit. With the Udyr deck, the Galio varieties would just stack on the Broadwing. The action varieties would end up stacking on Udyr himself. But they would have this one gigantic unit, and you were in the same problem, so you just couldn't quite deal with it. And that's what we see is the same thing with Nasus Viego, and that the scouts just can't deal with it. And so I could never decide on a strategy if we would just go for the, hey, I'm going to ignore it strategy and just try and flood the board and attack around it. Which works if they only have the one unit, right? If you're just saying, okay, I'll sacrifice my best unit to you over and over again, but I'm going to chunk in all of this damage, then it works okay there. But if you switch over to, I'm going to flood the board, but they have 2 units on the board, then it's just entirely worse. And where the function and the build that we have here, to where we're playing the Bannerman and the Garens and the Cythrias and the Genvivis, along with the 4 Demacias, it plays better against, hey, my opponent has the one unit on board, but it does so much worse in the spaces like this, as to where we're just trying to chunk through that singular unit. You can't find the space to actually build out your board, because you're having to throw a block in front of Nasus, and then you're having to try and interact with him, and he just tears through too much once they're able to take it down. And so at the end of the day, I wasn't like really happy with playing Scouts. I wanted to get it in, and I wanted to play it because I love the deck so much, but I was ultimately afraid that we would run into some kind of lineup to where it runs into some really unfavorable matchups. I don't know how many matchups I played the other day. I think I probably played like 15 or 20 games, and I probably went like 25% win rate with scouts, and I was trying various iterations and just getting annihilated by Udyr and Pantheon across the board. And so that's why I kind of switched away from it and is looking for something else to play. And so it's come back. It's brought us some pain. We finally lost a gauntlet. This has been the first gauntlet since we switched to constructive that I haven't taken down the victory, and it's heartbreaking that it was on the back of scouts. But we'll probably circle back to it. I think the other kind of thing with scouts is just again the way that the meta is kind of shaping up. The Sun Disk is starting to fall out of favor. And that does open up decks like Darkness to be a thing. All of the various Ezreal-based control decks, all of those are starting to make their way into the format because the Sun Disk isn't quite as prevalent. And so, again, in terms of Gauntlet, you've been able to do this forever to where you can still just come out and ban the Sun Disk, but that doesn't mean the meta isn't shaped around the Sun Disk. Even though that's a deck that you can bring the lineup to where you either just want to you can bring a lineup that just can't beat it and then just ban it, but that doesn't stop the rest of the meta from being shaped around the Sun Disk, even though your intent is to ban it. And that's where I think we start to see problems with the likes of with the scouts, it really starts to push the meta in a direction where we're playing a lot of matchups that aren't particularly good. But the rest of the lineup's kind of interesting. I'm still, I don't entirely know how I feel about the Viego deck. I love Viego. I'm not sure if I would rather play Nasus or play with Kindred. I'm going to try and deduce that out a little bit this week. And I'm still not a fan of Udyr, but I wanted to get that out here for some battles as well. Just out here having some fun with this Gauntlet. And I had a good time with this. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. But not what I would expect to be a kind of top-notch lineup. Still need the meta to kind of sort itself out a little bit. I think it's something as to where ideally we would probably be playing like what I call it are the decks that have like big reach. Like I don't want to play control decks. Control decks are the worst. But like in our previous video, we brought Talia Ziggs, which can boom with Talia and the Absolver, and Ziggs going over the top with his landmark abilities, and then it has the Arsenal. We came out with the Viego deck that we have here that has Atrocity that can go over the top, and then I forget what our other one was. Oh, it was the mid-range Draven, discard Draven, where you're playing with Scions and Captain Farrons and Decimates, and so I think that's pretty important for us to be bringing to the table as a way to just either punch through this gigantic unit or have something that generates some kind of damage that our opponent isn't interacting with on the board. And so I think that's where we'll start to kind of like push ourselves over the next weeks. I wouldn't be surprised for the next gauntlets if we're sticking with whatever flavor of Atrocity deck we like, something with Captain Farron in it, and something with the Arsenal in it. I really like those big, gigantic units like that coming out of the aggro decks that aren't doing stuff like playing Riven or playing Victor. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. But nonetheless, I had fun with this one. I hope you all had fun too. Hope you enjoyed today's video. You learned how to enter the mountain stance with your Udyr. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.